Luna sat cross-legged on the floor of Grandma's attic, her hands dusty and her nose twitching from all the cobwebs. The room smelled like old paper and cinnamon. Light poured in from the small round window, making the dust sparkle like stars. "This place is amazing!" Milo shouted, popping out from behind a tall stack of boxes. "There's even an old radio with a dial!" Luna smiled. "We're supposed to be helping clean," she reminded him. "I am helping," Milo grinned, then opened a crate labeled Travel. Inside were faded postcards, a cracked globe, and a small, strange suitcase with golden clasps and a pattern of clouds and tiny stars. Unlike everything else in the attic, the suitcase looked new. "Whoa," Milo said, brushing it off. "This looks magical." Luna knelt beside him. Maybe it belonged to Grandpa. He was always traveling. Milo tugged the handle. "It's locked." Just then, something shimmered. A tiny flash of light flickered on the suitcase's clasp. Click! The latch popped open on its own. "Did you see that?" Milo gasped. Luna nodded. Carefully, she opened the lid. Instead of clothes or papers, the inside was endless. Not deep like a normal suitcase, but bottomless, like a swirling sky of stars. Wind whooshed out and rustled the pages of an old book nearby. "Okay," Milo whispered. "Definitely magical." Then, the suitcase floated, just a few inches. Then a foot, then it wobbled and began to hover. "Luna," Milo said slowly, backing up. Luna stood, still holding the handle. The suitcase didn't drop, it rose, gently tugging her upward. "It's flying!" she shouted, laughing. Before Milo could speak, the suitcase tilted, dropped a little, then zipped toward the window. "Wait, Luna!" he yelled, grabbing her hand. Zoom! In a flash of wind and light, the suitcase shot out the attic window with both Luna and Milo holding on tight. The sky sparkled around them. Below, the world grew smaller, and ahead, glowing in the clouds, something strange and wonderful waited. The wind whooshed past Luna and Milo's ears as they soared higher into the sky. The flying suitcase buzzed softly beneath them like a friendly bumblebee. Luna gripped the handle tightly with both hands, her ponytail whipping behind her. "Where is this thing taking us?" Milo shouted over the wind. Luna squinted ahead. Through the clouds, she saw something shimmering. It looked like rooftops. As they rose higher, the clouds parted, and suddenly, there it was, a floating city made of shining towers, bridges made of mist, and tiny airships drifting lazily between glowing lanterns. The buildings sparkled with golden edges and curved roofs like folded paper. "It's beautiful," Luna whispered. The suitcase began to slow down, gliding gently toward a wide platform shaped like a sunburst. Colorful flags fluttered in the breeze, and a few people, no, not people, exactly waited nearby. One creature looked like a puff of wind wearing goggles. Another had arms like tree branches and a cloak of feathers. But they were all smiling. A tall figure stepped forward. She had silver hair, soft lavender skin, and wore a robe covered in star patterns. She raised one elegant hand and said, "Welcome, travelers." The suitcase came to a soft landing, and Luna and Milo tumbled onto the smooth, glowing floor, still dizzy from the flight. Hi," Milo said, standing and brushing off his shorts. "We didn't mean to, drop in." The tall woman smiled. "Few do, but only those with brave hearts can open the sky case." "The... what case?" Luna asked, still holding the handle. "The sky case," the woman said, nodding toward the suitcase. "It chooses who may visit Celestia." "Is that this place?" Milo asked, spinning slowly to look at everything. "Yes," said the woman. Celestia the city in the clouds. A group of glowing birds flew overhead. Wind chimes tinkled in the air, even though there were no wires or poles. But why us? Luna asked. We're just kids. Exactly, the woman said, her eyes twinkling. Only curious hearts and honest spirits can awaken the sky case. And you've done it. Luna and Milo glanced at each other. Does this mean we're in trouble? Milo whispered. The woman laughed kindly. Not at all, but Celestia is in need of help, and I believe you two have arrived just in time. Luna straightened. We'll help however we can. Milo gulped. Even if it involves flying again? The woman smiled and pointed toward a glowing archway at the end of the platform. Then come, she said. Let me show you where the clouds begin and the mystery unfolds. Luna and Milo followed the silver-haired woman through the glowing archway. The floor beneath their feet was soft and springy, like walking on marshmallows that didn't stick. The city of Celestia stretched before them, floating walkways, cloud-shaped towers, and little creatures made of breeze and light darting between buildings. I'm called Malus, the woman said as they walked. And I am the keeper of the sky case, though I never expected it to open again. Luna tilted her head. How long has it been closed? Malus looked up at the pink and golden clouds above. A very long time, since the last time Celestia was in danger. Milo leaned closer to Luna. Wait, did she say danger? Malus stopped in front of a tall glass structure shaped like a spiral. There is something strange happening to our skies, she said quietly. The clouds are becoming heavy. The wind no longer sings. And worst of all, she reached into her robe and pulled out a small, dim crystal. The light is fading. The crystal barely glowed, like a flashlight with dying batteries. This is the heart of Celestia, Malus explained. It keeps our world aloft, but it's growing weaker. We think someone or something is stealing its light. Luna reached out gently. It feels sad. Malus nodded. And afraid. The sky case brought you because you're meant to help, but only if you choose to. Milo looked around. Do we even know how to fix a floating city? Not yet, Malus said with a wink. But you'll learn. She led them inside the spiral tower. Inside, the walls shimmered with moving pictures of clouds, stars, and glowing creatures. At the center was a tall stand, and resting atop it was a map made entirely of shifting light. This is the sky path, said Malus. You must travel to the four corners of Celestia north, south, east, and west to find the lost sparks of the heart. 4 corners of a floating city? Milo asked. Doesn't it just go in circles? Malus chuckled. You'll see. She handed Luna a small satchel. Inside were 4 empty crystal shapes and a folded piece of cloud paper. Collect the sparks, follow the path, and trust your hearts. Luna nodded slowly, her eyes wide with determination. We're ready, she said. Milo sighed and gave a nervous thumbs up. I guess we're spark hunters now. The sky path shimmered to life, and the glowing map opened like wings. The journey had begun. The glowing map shimmered in Luna's hands as she and Milo stood once more on the sunburst platform where they'd first landed. Malus had sent them off with hugs, a bag of skyberries, and one important warning. The winds of the east change faster than thoughts. Stay together and don't chase the echoes. The suitcase hovered beside them like a patient puppy, ready to fly. Luna stepped forward and tapped the side twice. Whoosh! In a blink, they were soaring again, not upward this time, but sideways, zipping through a sky of whirling ribbons and swirling gusts. Around them, clouds spun into spiral shapes and floated in every direction. Below, there was no ground, only soft layers of vapor lit by the rising sun. Okay, Milo shouted over the wind. This is more fun than scary. Just then, the wind shifted. and the maze began. Massive cloud columns appeared around them, forming tall corridors and twisting turns. The flying suitcase slowed and bobbed uncertainly. Arrows of wind pushed them left, then right. Some paths shimmered gold, others pulsed a faint red. "It's like the sky is trying to confuse us," Luna murmured. She checked the glowing map. The eastern spark blinked ahead, just beyond the next curl of clouds. "Follow the gold paths," she told the suitcase, patting its side. The suitcase responded instantly, swerving left, then right, diving under an arch of wind and rising through a loop. But just as they passed through a glowing tunnel, a soft voice whispered, "This way, come this way." Milo turned. A thin trail of wind shaped like a hand pointed off the path, into a red-tinged corner of the maze. "Did you hear that?" he asked Luna. She frowned. "Don't listen. Malus warned us." But the voice grew sweeter. "You're almost there. Don't you want to help the city?" Milo gripped the edge of the suitcase. "What if it's a shortcut?" Before Luna could answer, the red-tinted wind surged toward them, trying to pull the suitcase off course. "Hold on!" she shouted. With all her strength, Luna grabbed the glowing map and whispered, "Stay true!" The suitcase wobbled, then shot forward faster than ever. The red wind screamed behind them but couldn't keep up. Then silence. They burst out of the maze and found themselves in a quiet clearing of clouds. At its center stood a floating pedestal made of wind and glass. Resting atop it was a glowing crystal shaped like a feather, pulsing softly. "The first spark," Luna whispered. Milo reached out and gently placed it into the first slot in their satchel. It fit perfectly. 1 down, 3 to go, and the winds cheered softly. With the first spark tucked safely into their satchel, Luna and Milo hopped back onto the flying suitcase. It hummed beneath them, sensing their excitement. "Ready for the next stop?" Luna asked, her hair fluttering in the breeze. "As long as it doesn't involve creepy whispering winds," Milo muttered, gripping the side tightly. The glowing skypath map lit up again, and this time, the spark blinked toward the south. "Here we go," Luna said, and off they went. The skies grew warmer as they traveled, the clouds softer and puffier like marshmallows. But soon, the light dimmed. Gray mist crept in, and tiny droplets began to fall. "It's raining," Milo said, holding out his hand. "But it's warm?" The rain sparkled slightly, not like water, but like sound. As they flew lower, they realized they weren't just getting wet. They were entering a storm that sang. Each raindrop rang like a chime, a note, or a hum. The sky echoed with gentle lullabies and soft melodies. The clouds below formed a floating city of instruments, harps made from mist, giant drum clouds, and shimmering bell towers that swayed with the breeze. "It's beautiful," Luna whispered. "Like the sky is alive." The suitcase gently landed on a cloud shaped like a lily pad. In front of them stood a single gate made of glowing music notes, gently bobbing in rhythm. To pass, they would need to match the tune, but the melody was always changing. A small creature floated out of the mist. It looked like a jellyfish made of light, with a tiny face and a tinkling laugh. "You must sing the sky's memory," it said. "The melody of kindness." We don't know the song," Milo said nervously. "You do," the creature replied. "It's in your hearts." Luna took a deep breath. She closed her eyes and began to hum. It was a soft, uncertain sound, the lullaby their mom used to sing when they couldn't sleep. Milo slowly joined in, matching her tune. The rain shifted. The gate shimmered. The melody grew brighter. The notes unlocked. The gate opened. Beyond it, on a glowing platform shaped like a musical note, sat the second spark, this one shaped like a tiny crystal bell, glowing gold. Luna placed it into the second slot in their satchel. It chimed gently, like a thank you. Milo wiped rain from his face and smiled. That wasn't too bad. The little jellyfish gave them a bow and drifted back into the mist. The rain slowed. The sun peeked through. And once again, the suitcase rose into the sky. 0.5 te. With 2 glowing sparks now tucked into their satchel, Luna and Milo soared westward, following the shimmering sky path. The air became cooler, crisper, and the clouds below began to shift into strange shapes. Those look like mountains, Milo said, squinting. They weren't ordinary mountains. These were made of clouds, towering and puffy, but they moved. Slowly, purposefully, like living giants made of sky. Welcome to the West Range, the sky path map whispered softly. The flying suitcase circled downward, landing gently on the back of one of the cloud mountains. It was firm beneath their feet but gently breathing, like a sleeping creature. A low, rumbling voice echoed through the air. Who walks upon the backs of the elders? Luna stepped forward bravely. We're Luna and Milo. We're here to help Celestia. Another voice, deeper still, boomed. Then you must prove your steps are steady, and your hearts are patient. Suddenly, the cloud mountain beneath them began to shift, sliding forward, then tilting sideways. Whoa, whoa, hold on! Milo shouted, grabbing Luna's arm as they stumbled. Other cloud mountains moved too, forming long, narrow paths that twisted and turned. Each one moved at its own rhythm, fast, slow, tilting, rising. It's a test, Luna said. We have to find the spark without falling. The suitcase floated beside them, but didn't lead the way this time. This one's on us, Milo muttered. Step by step, they began crossing. Some clouds felt stable. Others wobbled or sank slightly. Each time they panicked or rushed, the clouds seemed to slip away. But when they took slow, thoughtful steps, the clouds beneath their feet glowed gently, supporting them. Milo lost his balance once and almost slipped, but Luna caught him. Together, she reminded him, just like always. Finally, after what felt like hours of careful movement, they reached a towering spiral of still clouds. At its top sat a shining object shaped like a wind chime, gently spinning in the breeze. The third spark. They climbed slowly, hand in hand, until Luna reached the top and placed the spark into the third slot in their satchel. Suddenly, all the cloud mountains stopped moving. A final voice, warm and ancient, echoed in the sky. You walk with balance. You climb with care. You are worthy. The cloud they stood on lifted them high into the air, where the suitcase met them mid-flight. Milo flopped onto it, breathless. That was way more cardio than I expected. Luna laughed, wind in her hair. One spark remained, and it waited in the north. The sky above the northern route was unlike any they had seen. It was silent. No winds, no sparkle, no clouds drifting lazily. Just a blanket of white fog stretching in all directions like soft cotton, with an icy blue sun glowing faintly above. Luna and Milo sat quietly on the suitcase as it floated forward, the air cold and still. Even the suitcase is flying slower, Milo whispered, wrapping his arms around himself. Luna nodded. It's like everything's asleep. The glowing skypath map pulsed softly in her lap. The final spark blinked faintly ahead, but the path felt less like a journey and more like a dream. As they entered deeper into the northern cloud bank, all sound vanished. Not quiet, not muffled, just gone. Luna tapped her fingers on the suitcase. No sound, Milo snapped. Nothing. Can you hear me? He mouthed. Luna shook her head. They looked around, uncertain. Then, ahead in the fog, a light appeared, not glowing, but reflecting, like something made of ice. The suitcase gently landed on a frozen platform that seemed to rise out of nowhere. In the middle stood a mirror. It wasn't large, but it was perfect, polished, smooth and glowing with a cold, silvery light. And inside it, Luna saw herself. Not as she looked now, but sad, lonely, silent. Milo leaned in. In his reflection, he was hunched and frowning, his shoulders heavy, his face afraid. Suddenly, words appeared on the mirror, in glowing letters. Even in silence, your heart speaks. Luna reached out and gently touched the glass. Nothing happened. Milo did the same. Still nothing. Then, Luna took Milo's hand. Together, they stepped forward and whispered without sound. "We are not alone." The mirror shimmered and cracked like ice. From inside, a soft glow poured out, rising like mist and forming into the final spark shaped like a snowflake, pulsing with pale blue light. The world around them shifted. Sound returned. The wind whistled softly. The clouds began to move again. And from the distance, a voice they hadn't heard in a long time echoed, "Thank you." Luna gently placed the final spark into the last slot of their satchel. The skypath map glowed brilliantly, then folded itself up like a star. It was time to return. And above them, Celestia began to shine once more. The skies felt different now. As Luna and Milo soared back through the clouds on the flying suitcase, the wind hummed like a soft lullaby, and the air shimmered with golden flecks. The fog had lifted. The clouds were no longer heavy, they danced. "It feels like the whole sky is smiling," Milo said, clutching the satchel close to his chest. Luna nodded, the wind tugging gently at her ponytail. "We did it, all 4 sparks." In her lap, the folded skypath map gave off a warm glow, and the satchel now pulsed gently, 4 sparks resting in their crystal slots like puzzle pieces waiting to be placed. Soon, the spires of Celestia rose before them, once more brighter than they had ever been. Lanterns floated beside towers, glowing birds circled in flocks, and bridges of light stretched between rooftops like ribbons in the wind. As they touched down on the sunburst platform, Malus, the silver-haired guardian, waited for them, arms open and eyes shining. "You brought back more than light," she said. "You brought back balance." Luna opened the satchel and carefully held out the 4 glowing sparks. Each floated from her hands and into the air, circling the platform like tiny comets. They hummed together, syncing like notes in a song. High above them, the heart of Celestia appeared in the sky, a great crystal sphere that had once dimmed to almost nothing. The sparks flew into it one by one. Feather, bell, chime, snowflake. As the last spark entered, the heart pulsed with brilliant light, golden, white, sky blue, and rose. The skies rippled, the wind lifted, and Celestia sang. A melody echoed across the clouds, not from instruments, but from the sky itself. The city began to rise just slightly, floating a little higher, brighter, freer. Milo blinked in awe. "We really fixed it." "No," Malus said with a kind smile. "You healed it." Luna looked down at the sky case, the flying suitcase which now hovered beside her without buzzing or glowing. It was quiet, peaceful. "You 2 have done more than you know," Malus said softly. "But there is one more choice." Luna looked up. "A choice?" "Yes," Malus said. "The sky case is ready to rest, or it can go with you." Milo gasped. "You mean we could keep it?" Malus nodded. "It will never fly without purpose, but if your hearts stay open, it will always know when it's time." Luna and Milo exchanged a look. A long, excited, hopeful look. Then Luna smiled and said, "Let's take it home." The sunburst platform shimmered as the sky case hovered in front of Luna and Milo, ready for one last flight. Celestia now sparkled behind them like a dream made of wind and stars. The towers sang softly, and glowing lanterns gently swirled in the air like fireflies waving goodbye. Mela stepped forward, placing her hand gently on the lid of the suitcase. "It will know the way," she said. "You don't need to steer it, just trust." Luna bowed her head. "Thank you for everything." Mela smiled. "It's we who thank you." Milo gave the silver-haired guardian a huge wave. "I'll miss the jellyfish rain." "I'll miss your noise," she teased, winking. With that, Luna and Milo climbed aboard. The suitcase, now warm and light beneath them, lifted slowly into the sky. The platform grew smaller. Celestia's towers became tiny dots of glowing light. Then whoosh, the clouds folded around them and the sky rushed past in swirls of blue, silver, and soft violet. They were flying faster than ever, the suitcase gliding smoothly like it knew they were headed home. Milo leaned back. "This has been the weirdest, coolest day of my life." "Same," Luna said. "But it doesn't feel like just a dream, does it?" "Nope," Milo said. "My shoes still have cloud goo on them." They laughed. Suddenly, they saw the shape of Grandma's house below, tiny but familiar. The attic window was open, its round glass reflecting the last rays of sunset. The sky case slowed, hovered once, then gently dipped through the clouds. It flew low, circled once, and glided silently through the open window. Flop! They landed with a soft bounce right on the dusty attic floor, in the exact spot they'd left. Everything was still. The boxes, the cobwebs, the old globe, just as before. Only now, they weren't the same. Luna ran her fingers along the edge of the suitcase. It no longer shimmered, but it was still warm and waiting. Milo glanced around. "Do you think anyone would believe us?" Luna grinned. "Probably not. But that's okay," he said. "We'll know." And as they sat quietly in the attic's fading light, the sky case let out a soft, contented hum, as if it, too, was happy to be home. But somewhere deep inside its lining, a tiny blue glow still flickered, waiting. Back home, everything seemed ordinary again, at least on the outside. Grandma called them down for dinner. The smell of warm bread and soup filled the house. Button the cat purred lazily on the windowsill, and the clock in the hallway ticked its usual steady rhythm. But Luna and Milo kept exchanging little glances across the table, because they knew something no one else did. They had been to the clouds. They had saved a floating city. And now, the suitcase was sitting quietly under a blanket in the attic, as if it were just an old trunk full of travel postcards. "I hope it wakes up again," Milo whispered as they brushed their teeth that night. Luna nodded. "Me too." That night, Luna dreamed of sparkling skies and dancing winds, of the glowing jellyfish in the southern rain, of the quiet mirror in the north, and of Celestia, rising and shining once more. She woke with a smile. The next day, while Grandma gardened and Milo fed Button treats under the table, Luna climbed quietly back up to the attic. The suitcase sat exactly where they left it. She knelt beside it, placed her hand on the surface, and whispered, "Thank you." A soft warmth pulsed beneath her fingers, not enough to open the lid, but just enough to answer, "I'm still here." Behind her, the attic window creaked open with a breeze. Luna turned, and outside in the clouds above the trees, she thought she saw something move. Not a bird, not a plane. Something small, glowing, and winged. A shape from Celestia. A messenger? The wind gently rustled her hair. Milo called from downstairs, "Luna, I think the clouds are sparkling again." She grinned and stood. "Coming!" But before she left, she reached into her pocket and pulled out something small. The last cloud paper note Malus had given them. She unfolded it again. It read, "Some skies are waiting to be seen. Some hearts are born to fly. Luna folded the note carefully and slipped it back into her pocket. Then she looked once more at the suitcase. Soon, she whispered. Later that afternoon, Milo stormed into Luna's room holding a crumpled drawing. It moved, he whispered, while I was watching it. The map. Luna sat up quickly. What do you mean it moved? Milo unrolled the sheet of cloud paper they had brought back from Celestia. When they first received it, it was blank, smooth, and soft like mist. Now, it had drawn itself. Tiny lines in silver ink danced across the page, sketching out stars, swirling paths, and floating islands that hadn't been there before. It started with this, Milo said, pointing to a glowing mark near the center. That's our attic. Luna leaned closer. And look, that line leads to another city? Sure enough, above the attic mark was a curved line pointing to a glowing cluster of shapes labeled in whirling script. Aurelia, the city of light. I don't remember Malus mentioning that place, Milo said. Maybe it only appears after Celestia is healed, Luna guessed. Or maybe it's calling us. They both stared at the paper. Then the ink shimmered again. A second line appeared, leading from Aurelia to a place marked the edge of the sky. And next to that, where falling stars are born. Milo blinked. Okay, that definitely wasn't there 5 seconds ago. The paper pulsed once like a heartbeat, and then went still again. They looked at each other. Luna whispered, "It's drawing our next journey." Milo grinned. "The suitcase must know. It's waiting." They both bolted up the stairs and flung open the attic door. The suitcase was already hovering. Only a few inches, but it was glowing again. A soft, golden swirl shimmered from the lock, and when Luna touched it, the case popped open without a sound. Inside was a fresh satchel with empty spark slots, and a note folded neatly on top. "Adventure doesn't end. It just changes direction," Milo whistled. "Think Grandma will notice if we disappear into the clouds again?" Luna smiled. "She might, but I bet she'd understand." They looked at the suitcase, the paper map, and the open sky beyond the window. It was clear. The sky wasn't finished with them yet. The sun was setting behind the hills, casting golden light across the treetops. Luna and Milo stood once again in the attic, facing the floating suitcase as it shimmered softly beside the open window. The map of the skies pulsed gently in Luna's hand, the new city's name Aurelia glowing like morning light. "I packed snacks," Milo said, tossing a small bag into the suitcase. "And 3 juice boxes. I even remembered straws this time." "Good," Luna said, securing the satchel, "because I think this next trip might be even longer." They both paused for a moment. As exciting as the idea of another adventure was, this time it felt different. Bigger, brighter, but maybe just a little bit harder to leave. Milo looked toward the stairs. "Should we tell Grandma?" Luna shook her head, smiling gently. "She'll know. She always knows." Still, she pulled out a piece of paper and scribbled a note. "We'll be back. Don't worry. Just visiting the clouds again. Love, Luna and Milo." She placed it on top of the old trunk by the attic door, right where Grandma always put folded towels. The sky case rose slightly higher, its clasps glowing like fireflies. It was ready, but something else was different too. Outside the window, other suitcases floated just barely visible behind the clouds. Some were tiny, others big enough to hold whole families. Each one shimmered with its own color, drifting slowly across the skies. Luna stepped to the window. "Look, Milo." He joined her, mouth open. "So we're not the only ones." Luna nodded. "There are others. Think they're like us?" "I hope so." They stood silently for a moment, then climbed aboard. The suitcase shifted to hold them both just right, like a familiar old seat that always remembers who you are. "Where to this time?" Milo asked, adjusting his backpack. Luna smiled and opened the glowing map. "Wherever the sky wants us." The wind stirred. The suitcase lifted, and with a final shimmer, it soared into the clouds past rooftops, past birds, past the last light of the setting sun toward new stars, and a new story waiting to be told. Back in the attic, the note to Grandma fluttered once in the breeze, then settled peacefully in the quiet. The clouds ahead parted like curtains, revealing a glowing city floating in the open sky. But unlike Celestia, this place shimmered with soft golden light and glass towers that sparkled like sunshine through honey. "Aurelia." The name whispered across the wind, even though no one spoke. The suitcase slowed and dipped gently toward a wide landing circle made of glowing crystal. Lanterns shaped like suns floated in the air, each one humming a soft, musical note. Bridges of light stretched from building to building like giant spiderwebs made of sunshine. Luna blinked. "It's even brighter than Celestia." Milo shaded his eyes. "It's like if the sun had a playground." As they landed, a figure stepped forward to greet them. She was small, no taller than Luna, with glowing freckles, braided white gold hair, and a robe made of drifting starlight. "Welcome, Skywalkers," she said with a bright smile. "You heard Aurelia's call?" Luna and Milo nodded, a little stunned. "I'm Leary," the girl added. "Lightkeeper apprentice." She led them down a staircase made of hovering platforms. All around them, creatures shaped from golden mist waved as they passed foxes made of flame, birds like lanterns, and tiny bouncing stars. "What's happening here?" Luna asked as they walked. "Why did the map send us?" Leary's smile faded just a little. "The light here has started flickering, not fading, but blinking, like something is disturbing its rhythm." They followed her into a large hall, where the ceiling showed a giant glowing sun made of thousands of tiny crystals. "Each piece," Leary explained, "represents a spark of joy somewhere in the world. But lately, some of the pieces go dark, then bright, then dark again." Milo leaned close. "It's like someone's turning the happiness on and off." Leary nodded. "Or maybe something is interfering with it. That's why the sky case brought you." At the center of the hall, a small pedestal held a new kind of spark, this one shaped like a sun with tiny wings. "It's not a piece to collect," Leary said. "It's a key." Luna reached toward it, and as her fingers brushed its surface, the map flared to life again. Lines burst out from the city in all directions, toward the stars, toward the ocean, and even back toward the earth below. "This is bigger," Luna whispered. "Much bigger." Milo looked at her with wide eyes. "Do we go even higher?" The spark lifted from the pedestal and floated between them, glowing brighter. Leary smiled again. "I think the sky's only just begun." Luna held the winged sun spark in her hands as it pulsed softly, sending gentle waves of warmth into her fingertips. Around her, the hall of light glowed brighter, but only for a moment. Then, flicker. Then light again. Then darkness. And back. The great sun-shaped ceiling blinked like a blinking eye, struggling to stay awake. "It's like the whole city is," stuttering, Milo said, watching the light fade and return in nervous waves. "The light of Aurelia is connected to feelings," Leary explained. "When too many hearts on Earth stop shining even just for a moment, the city trembles." Luna looked up. "So it's not a storm or an enemy, it's us?" "It's the world," Leary said gently. "Down there, some people are forgetting how to laugh, how to hope, how to believe in something bright, and it's making the light flicker." Milo frowned. "But we're just kids. We can't fix the whole world." "No," Leary agreed. "But sometimes, All it takes is one spark to remind others how to glow. She led them outside again, where the clouds around Aurelia had started to dim, like someone turning the volume down on the sky. The winged spark in Luna's hands began to rise, slowly spinning in place. "It's choosing," Leary whispered. "What is?" Luna asked. "You." The spark gently floated between Luna and Milo, then split into two, one half landing in each of their palms. The light didn't flash or explode. It simply warmed. And then they saw. Not with their eyes, but with their hearts. They saw a child sitting alone in a city park, too shy to say hello. They saw a boy afraid to sing in front of others. They saw a girl who wanted to invent something, but feared no one would care. Little dim spots. Little flickers. Not broken. Just waiting. Waiting for someone to remind them that their light mattered. Luna looked at Milo. "We can do that." He nodded slowly. "Even if it's one spark at a time." The twin sparks rose from their hands, shot into the sky, and shattered not into pieces, but into hundreds of tiny glowing seeds that scattered through the air, drifting across the skies in every direction. Aurelia began to glow again, steady and strong. The sun on the ceiling inside pulsed once and stayed on. The clouds lit back up. The wind cheered. And Luna and Milo knew what would come next. They had one more flight ahead. The suitcase hovered silently beside Luna and Milo as they stood on the highest tower of Aurelia. Below them, the golden city shimmered with light that no longer flickered. It danced. It hummed. From the sky above, the tiny spark seeds they had released still drifted outward like glowing fireflies, each one on its own quiet mission to find a heart in need of warmth. Leary joined them, her silver robe fluttering in the gentle breeze. "The light is steady now," she said. "Thanks to you." "We didn't do much," Milo said. "We just reminded people." "Exactly," Leary replied with a smile. "And sometimes, that's everything." Luna looked at the suitcase. Its clasps gleamed softly. The satchel now rested inside, empty again, but not because it lacked magic, because the journey was complete. At least for now. A folded ribbon of light appeared in the air beside them, a path stretching downward, back toward Earth. Trees, rooftops, rivers, all visible far below in tiny glowing outlines, like a living map. "Time to go home?" Luna asked softly. Milo sighed, then grinned. "I hope Button hasn't eaten all the crackers." They climbed into the suitcase one last time, and it rose without a sound. Aurelia began to drift away behind them, its lights twinkling like stars in a storybook sky. Leary raised a hand in farewell. The other citizens of Aurelia, glowing and gentle, waved from bridges, rooftops, and floating lanterns. As the suitcase sailed downward, the wind swirled gently around them. But this time, there were no instructions, no glowing path, no map. Just the wind. Just trust. Just the memory of where they'd been, and the feeling that they could always return. Luna leaned her head against Milo's shoulder. "Do you think there are more cities like that?" she asked sleepily. Milo nodded. "Totally, hidden in the sky, waiting." The clouds around them shifted into soft shapes, castles, dragons, giant books, smiling moons. One looked a lot like a suitcase. Below, the attic window slowly came into view. The suitcase circled once, dipped gently, and landed with a whisper. The adventure was over. But the sky? The sky would always be watching. The end. Huge.